it is officially time for a TBR video. So let's go ahead and get into it and talk about the updates to my game. I choose my books based on what I rated the books I read in the past month. The only problem with that is it could be anywhere from 0 books to like 13 books. And it just became a lot. So starting with this month and every month in 2024, I am going to have 6 books only. I don't know why I showed you 10, but I'm going to have 6 books only because I'm going to start today and play each element of my game. And then every month after that, it'll still be based on the ratings that I rated those books, but it will only ever be based on those TBR game books. Whether I read a book and rate it 5 stars, or I don't even get to it and it doesn't have a rating, I will still be able to use that rating for the game. Those ratings correspond with 6 different ways of playing this game. So if I don't rate a book, I started this recently where I roll this like multi-lettered die, and whatever letter it lands on, I have to choose a book that has that letter in the title. It doesn't even have to start with it, but as long as that letter is in the title, then I can read the book. My 1-star rating, I would play Fib Finder, and I love that, except for the fact that I think it's killing my Fib Finder, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm changing my 1-star rating. I really don't finish books that I'm going to rate 1 star. I usually will just DNF at this point. But if I do read and rate a book 1 star, I will play someone else's TBR game for that book for that month. Rate a book 2 stars, I usually choose the lowest rated book on my Goodreads, and I have the option to either read it, skip it and read the next one, or just take it off the Goodreads want to read list altogether. I'm keeping that the same with the exception that it has to be a book that I physically own and it has to be fiction. I'm super excited for this next element. If I rate a book 3 stars, then I get to draw a prompt from one of these little TBR prompt jars. And I'm excited because if you saw during Bookmas, I completely redid all of the prompts. So one of these jars has social prompts where I will have to like ask a friend or another person or ask social media or in some way have like a social prompt to help me choose the book. The others have like regular prompts, and I don't know which is which, but the others have like regular prompts like blue cover or longest book on TBR cart or something like that. And then the other jar has like challenge, more unique prompts. So I'm so excited for these new prompts, and I literally can't wait to get into this. If I rate a book 4 stars, then I count all the books on my TBR cart, and then I group them into like 6 or 5. Just depends on what I'm feeling that month, honestly. And then I roll this dice to kind of narrow down the books until I choose the book that I'm going to read. And then finally, if I rate a book 5 stars, I get to choose a title from this heart box. Now, this used to be my 5-star predictions, but this year it's literally just going to be any fiction book that I have. All of the books that are on this cart have a little piece of paper in this box, so I could literally end up with anything. To further incentivize myself this year, I want to make the rewards happen. So, if I finish my TBR game books, those 6 books that I will play the game for and choose today, I will get to choose from 2 items for my Amazon wish list. And this month I'm choosing between Summer at Firefly Beach by Jenny Hale, which you know I'm already like biased towards, or this adorable little Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe board book. Like, how cute is that? Also, it kind of goes along with something that I'm doing this month, so I'm a little biased to that too, and I don't know what to do. Let me know in the comments which one you think I should choose if I do read all these TBR books. Then, if I read all the TBR books, all of my hopeful books, which are 12 Challenge, audiobooks in coffee shops, Blind Date with Bookmas, any other specialty vlog that I'm doing during the month, and at least 1 nonfiction book, then I can get an extra reward. And this month what I did was I looked at my Amazon wish list, and since I get to choose something that I'm really wanting, I looked at the 5 things I was wanting the most, and I just kind of random number generated it, and it came out with these really cute gold claw clips. If I read all of the fiction books plus 1 nonfiction book that you guys hear me talk about in this video, then I will get to get these cute little claw clips. Finally, Blind Date with Bookmas stays the same. If I finish the book, then I will get to buy 2 new books from my wish list. One has to be a related book, and then one can be whatever I want to add. If I don't finish the book, but I'm not DNFing it, then I just rewrap it for Bookmas in December, and then I get the cheapest book on my Bookmas wish list. If I DNF the book, then I just choose 2 Bookmas books I already own. But with a twist, this year I have to draw a prompt from one of those prompt jars, and the 2 books that I add have to fulfill that prompt. So I feel like that's going to be a really fun way to do my Blind Date with Bookmas rewards this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so I have here my devotions and leadership books, which I'm basically just continuing where I left off in November. First of all, in the Bible, I'm going to be reading the book of Jeremiah because my small group is going to be going to a Bible study that's based off the book of Jeremiah. Plus, it's obviously like the continuation of when I was reading Isaiah. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with that. And I basically will just read like a chapter a day, like I always do. And for my Bible study, I have Immeasurably More, the word study based on Ephesians. I'm loving this reread or re-go through, whatever you would call it. And I'm getting really close to finishing it, so I'll probably finish it in like January, maybe February, but probably January, which kind of breaks my heart, but I'm excited to wrap it up. Well, let's be honest, I'm really just excited to continue it, and I'm sad that it's going to be wrapping up, but you guys can probably assume I'm going to do this study again at some point in the future. Then for my like Christian living / devotional type book, I will be continuing 7 Mile Miracle, which I really didn't get to get into that much in November, so I'm excited to continue on with where I left off. And then finally, for my leadership book, I am continuing Multipliers, which I made some good progress in this in 2023, but I am looking forward to continuing my reread. Okay, so for my 12 challenge this year, I have 12 books as always. 1 month is going to have to be doubled up, but I figure if I like DNF a book or if I have extra time to read 2, I can just kind of combine. It'll work out. It'll be fine. I really want to accomplish the 12 challenge this year because I have failed in 2023. But it's okay. What I'm doing differently with my 12 challenge for 2024 is I did not assign any books to certain months. And instead of just like having that linear, like read this book, then read the next one, and then read the next one, I am going to use a randomizer wheel to decide what book I read each month. So every TBR game video, you guys will see what 12 challenge book I'm gonna read. So one of the books on my 12 challenge is a book that I need to finish by February like 5th or 6th. When I did the randomizer wheel, I just so happened, don't know how this is even statistically possible, I did have a 1 in 12 chance, I guess, so I ended up with the book that I needed to read by February. Wrong place, wrong time. And I am super excited to read this one. I've been very interested in it. I hope I'm gonna like it. I'm definitely interested in the plot, and a lot of people really loved it this past year, so hopefully I will enjoy that, and you guys will see that in my 12 challenge video. Now for audiobooks in coffee shops and Blind Date with Bookmas, I don't know what I'm going to be reading yet. For audiobooks in coffee shops in January, they're actually an extra Monday, so I will be doing 2 audiobooks in coffee shops videos, or at least that's the plan, which means that I will get to listen to at least 2 audiobooks. I do have a library right here on my phone, and I definitely want to prioritize some non-fiction when I do those audiobook videos. So one of those books is probably what you guys will see in that video. Of course, I could also check out Spotify or Libby or my library to find some other audiobooks, but I think I'm going to stick with these ones first. And then for Blind Date with Bookmas, I obviously have no idea what that's going to be, but it will be one of the Bookmas books that I didn't finish during Bookmas 2023. Now, before we get into the game, I am planning a C.S. Lewis reading vlog, and I have a few books picked out that I'm going to try to get to, but no promises that I'll actually finish them. I think what I'm going to do is wait until I'm filming that video to actually set the TBR for it, just because I don't want to go overboard and I don't want to like not be able to accomplish it and then not be able to get my reward just because of this video. But I have these 4 books, and I have the Narnia collection, which this one's so pretty. Make sure that you watch my physical TBR book video. Yeah, physical TBR video if you want to see the front cover of that, or just stay tuned for the C.S. Lewis reading vlog. I want to reread Mere Christianity. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's on here just in case. I also have A Grief Observed to reread, and I'd really like to reread that after 2023. And then the only one that I haven't read is The Problem of Pain, but I really want to read that one, so I'll probably be prioritizing that one. I do have some other books, but I'm just going to stick with these probably. Now it's time for the game. I am going to be playing each element of the game this month to start it off, and then next month what I play will be based off of what I rate these books that I'm about to pick. First of all, I need to roll the little letter die and see what letter needs to be in my book's title. And I got the letter O, which should be pretty easy to find a book with that letter in the title. Let's go ahead and look. The last thing he told me, The Woman in the Window, It's the Nicest Couple, The Hotel Nantucket, Suspicious Minds, Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library. And this is hard when it's like the first one, because I could choose anything, but then these might be the one that I choose might be the only one that like fits a prompt or something. I don't know. This is so vague. I'm kind of concerned. I'm gonna actually, I think I'm gonna go with this one. Last thing he told me, I read the first chapter of this in a try chapter, and everyone that I've heard talk about it loved it at first and then hates it. And I'm kind of concerned, but I really want to know like what the deal with this is, so I'm gonna pick the last thing he told me. Okay, so for the next element of the game, I need to play someone else's game, and I actually have, way back from a few years ago, I have some old Becca's Bookoplathon pieces, or like game boards and cards in here, and I kind of want to play that, so I think I'm going to do that for this next book. What are the odds that the book that I drew from that game from a few years ago I would still have on my TBR? That's kind of weird, but works for me. The game chose The Harbinger 2, which I'm excited to read. I really loved The Harbinger. I like the very narrative style. I am excited to get into this. I hope I really like it as much as I did the first book. I've had this for like 2 years and I really need to get to it. Okay, so the next element of the game is I need to choose a book from my Goodreads. It needs to be the lowest rated fiction book that I own. Let's see what it is. Okay, so the lowest rated fiction book that I own that's on my Goodreads is The Wednesday Letter, which I have right here. I know I've put this on a TBR before and I just didn't get to it. I am intrigued to see if I'll like this, but I don't know if I will. We'll see. I'm really going to try to finish it. The font is pretty big, so hopefully I'll be able to get to this and finish it this month. Now it's time to choose a prompt from my TBR jar. Let's go ahead. I'm going to try to reach really far in here and get... Oh boy. Oh man, I'm gonna like knock them all over, I think. Yep, they're all falling over. I chose 2. So let's see. I'm gonna roll them and drop 1. Put that one back. What does this one say? I'm nervous, but excited. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this, but it's author you've enjoyed before. Do I even have an author on here that I've enjoyed before? Options are I can read The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I can read, or reread actually, Tribulation Force. I'm gonna skip this one because it's a longer read, and I want to kind of keep it short. The other one is I could read The Testament, which is way down here, by John Grisham. I think I'm gonna stick with The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I had started this either October or November, so I am gonna get back into that for January, and hopefully I'll like it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Okay, so I have 22 books left on the cart, and I'm gonna roll this dice. Basically, if I land on a 1, I will read Where the Crawdads Sing. If I land on a 2, I'll narrow it down in this group. 3, narrow it down in this group. 4, narrow it down in this group that carries on down here. This was the rest of 4, and this is 5. And then if it lands on a 6, I'll get to read whichever book I want. Okay, it's a 5, so I'm going to narrow it down with these 4. The Kitchen House, Girl in the Blue Coat, Tribulation Force. Oh, I love that book, but I'm not looking to reread it this month. Or The Thorn by Beverly Lewis. Okay, you heard it here first. If it lands on a 1, I will read Tribulation Force because it just seems like this game is trying to get there. We'll see. It's the longest book. If it lands on a 2, it'll be Kitchen House. If it's a 3, Girl in the Blue Coat. 4, it'll be Tribulation Force, so that's a 1 or a 4. 5, it'll be The Thorn by Beverly Lewis. And 6, it'll be whichever one I choose, which I probably, again, would choose The Thorn. So let's see what this comes up with. 5. It's The Thorn by Beverly Lewis. Whew, that felt like a close one, but I'm really glad it picked this one because 1, it's one of the shorter books in that group. 2, I've never read a Beverly Lewis book, but she is a well-loved and well-known author of like Amish romance. So I'm excited to get into this. Okay, of the 5 books that I've drawn so far, every one of them's title starts with the word the. I've got The Last Thing He Told Me, The Harbinger 2, The Wednesday Letters, The Notebook, and The Thorn. What will the 6th book be? So I just shook this up and I'm gonna reach in and find out what I'm reading. I hope it's a good one. Oh, I don't know if you all could really see that, but it chose for me, hold on, get these out of here. Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library, which this very much is like a middle grade, if that, read. So I hope that I'm going to be able to stay engaged with it. But the plot sounds interesting. So this should be an easy read, even if it's not the most fascinating thing or the highest rated. This will be the 6th book on the TBR game. So essentially, if I read all 6 of these books, I can get either that Jenny Hale book or the Narnia Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe board book as my reward for finishing my TBR game books. So stay tuned later this month for my TBR game reading vlog to see if I actually finish these. So in order to keep myself from getting overwhelmed by reading too many nonfiction books or putting too many nonfiction books on my TBR, I have decided to put all of my nonfiction books in categories. So basically what I have is a leadership category, relationships, Christian living and devotional, teaching, kids ministry and church, miscellaneous, and then any other ongoing reads that maybe don't fit in a category but is something that I'm wanting to finish. So from earlier in the video, you guys know that Multipliers is my read for leadership. That is what I'm going to focus on until I finish it. The way that I've set up these categories is I will basically just on my own time, however I want to structure it, be focusing on one book in each category for as long as it takes me. As soon as I finish this book, I can then go to my stash of other leadership books choose another one, and that can be my focus for that category, but it's not limited to what month I'm reading it in, and I don't have to finish this in January. For relationships, I chose Scary Close. This is a reread for me, but I just remember this book being so good, so I'm really excited to get back into it and re-experience it all over again. So then again, you guys know that for Christian living and devotional, I have 7 Mile Miracle. I will continue that as long as it lasts. Okay, for teaching, I am going to be trying to read through this book that I've had for several years, but I think it's going to be a really great resource, and I really want to have like really read through it. The writing is really big, so even though it's a big like textbook style book, I think it will be a pretty good read. The Teacher's Toolbox for Differentiating Instruction. And again, I do not have to read a word of this in January. It's just what I have chosen to focus on if I do feel like reading a teaching book this month. The way that these categories work really aligns with how I have done my like kids ministry. Every Saturday night I would read a portion of this book, and I just continue on until I finish it. That's kind of how the rest of these nonfiction books are gonna go, is I will just read parts of it whenever I need to, whatever routine works for me. I will be continuing this on for my kids ministry and church reading. I really don't have that much left to go. Just a few chapters, but this has been really good, and I will continue to read parts of it every Saturday night before teaching. For miscellaneous nonfiction, this one doesn't really fit into a category, but I really wanted to get into it. This one is called Managing God's Money, and basically is all about biblical stewardship. So I will read this until I finish it, and if there are other miscellaneous nonfiction books, I can add them onto my little nonfiction TBR, but they don't have to be read in January, and they don't count for rewards or punishments or anything like that. Finally, this one doesn't fit into any categories either, but it is a book that I was already reading and I want to continue for my cleaning channel. I like to read portions of this to like motivate me to work on decluttering and other house related challenges. It is Love the House You're In. Love the House You're In. This is an ongoing nonfiction read that I will continue going through as long as it takes me. You can also see in my notebook, I've left a lot of extra space for each category in case I get into any additional books and want to add them in here, but I also don't have to. So overall, that's everything. I hope that was pretty straightforward. I am so looking forward to January reading. I have lots of videos planned. You guys should have seen my video plan calendar go out last Saturday. That is just kind of like a general idea of the videos that I am hoping to put together for you guys. Anyway, I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing these books in future videos this month. So that's everything. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please let me know which of these books you're most interested in hearing my thoughts on. Subscribe if you have not done so already, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!